I don't even know the first thing about what they're feeling.
Okay, this is my first video in my Hamilton series, my Hamilton section of my channel. I'm not gonna start a whole new channel because I kind of feel like all this is me. So uh, the 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 mental illness is just as much part of who I am as my love for Hamilton the musical. So it's just all, and as you'll see with some things, I will have a view of Hamilton, basically through the eye of mental illness. So that's why I'm not making another channel. I'll make another playlist on the channel, but it will all be together because it's all me, and that's basically the reason I started the channel. Um, but to get started, how I got into Hamilton, how I got addicted, um, basically, um, what I knew about Alexander Hamilton is basically what everybody else knew. I knew he was on the $10 bill. I knew he was the first secretary of the Treasury, and I knew that he died in a duel um, with Aaron Burr or by Aaron Burr. And I remember the commercial from way back when, and I felt kind of good that I knew the answer to the question who shot him was Aaron Burr, and I felt good about that. And honestly, I kind of felt like I knew everything. I don't want to say everything, but like I thought I had a huge knowledge of Hamilton and all the founding fathers because it's the kind of the thing that we learn in school. And I just thought, well, I paid attention, so I know. And that's where the place that I was coming from. But my awareness of the musical itself started in early 2016, so it had already been going on for a while. It was on Broadway, and it had basically became the thing that it was, and that's when I became aware of it. Basically, everything I watched on television was making references to it, and they would reference how good it was, and then mostly they would reference how impossible it was to get tickets for. And so I kind of felt, okay, this kind of has a feeling of like back when Rent happened. I heard sort of the same things, just not as much. And I just figured that's because I was in school back then and I was at my parents' house, so I wasn't as exposed back then. But I had still heard about Rent. Um, and now I was hearing this about Hamilton, so I kind of didn't want to miss it like I had missed Rent. Um, and then basically, I think I saw David Diggs once. He was talking about it on the Nightly Show before they canceled the Nightly Show, which they shouldn't have canceled the Nightly Show because it was a not just a good show, but it was an important show. But that's a whole nother discussion. And then like Trevor Noah on the Daily Show was mentioned at like every show about how impossible it was. And just one time he said he made a joke about something being just as hard as getting Hamilton tickets, and he looked into the camera, and I don't know, I kind of felt like he was looking at me, and so I said, you know what, let me look into this thing and see what it was, and I heard it was a hip hop musical. Um, although there was a hip hop musical, and I know many people were kind of wary of, is this going to be Schoolhouse Rock type thing? Which that's not what I was worried at because um, I thought I love Schoolhouse Rock, uh, so I wasn't worried that it would be that. I mean, I would hope it would be that. I just thought it would be worried that it might be more rap than hip hop because rap is something that's existed for a long time, you know, talking in rhythm to music, and that's what I was worried about, that it would just be da 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 da, and like, I took what I knew about Alexander Hamilton to be sort of the exhaustive um, knowledge that was out there about him. So, I thought it would be interesting and probably not quite historical, as so many historical pieces aren't that historical. Um, Then I found out that the cast was multiracial, and I will admit I was against that at first, just because, or yeah, I'm not against that, but I was sort of resistant to it at first, mainly because I'm sort of a purist, and think things that should be played as they were, um, for historicalness, and I kind of went into that idea, okay, this isn't going to be historical at all. Um, so I then since one, you can't get tickets, and two, I don't live anywhere close to where it's being performed. Um, I just went online, and the first thing I looked up is I found out, that this idea kind of was put out there by Manuel Miranda, uh, for the White House Poetry Jam, and I was kind of shocked at how far back that was. That it was like 2008, I think, maybe 2009, and that's really been all since that time that's the idea, and then it came out in 2015, 2016. So I was like, wow, that was a while ago. So um, I played that and I listened to it. I got like a minute into it and I just stopped and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Are all these things true? Was he really an immigrant? Was he really orphaned? Um, I mean, were all these, is this all true? And so I immediately went and I started reading on Alexander Hamilton and I saw everything was was true. And then I just immediately then ordered the Chernow book, and I then listened to the rest of the White House video, and I was just like, okay, I'm in. I'm like, this thing is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And I then bought the cast recording, um, and I couldn't stop listening to it and reading about it. Yeah, the whole cast thing, I was out the window because the who played the parts was not important as the story that was being told. Um, and I was after I listened to the recording, I was all in. And now what I did is about a few months ago, because I kind of feel like what I feel like with Hamilton is I feel like I was in the 16th or 17th century, and somebody told me that Shakespeare had just wrote this play Hamlet, and you should read it. And that's what I feel like. I feel like somebody said, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's wrote this musical called Hamilton, and you should listen to it. And to me, it would have been the same exact thing because Hamlet is probably my favorite piece of literature, and Hamilton is, I don't know, I'll just say it's on par with it because it's if you listen to it and if you're obsessed with it, you know what I'm saying. Um, so basically, after listening to it, and my wife doesn't listen to it, my son doesn't listen to it, and them being really the only two people I talk to, I have no one to talk to about Hamilton with. So I started looking for podcasts. I found four. The first one I found was the Hamilcast. That's hosted by Jillian Pensavalli and Bianca Soto, and it's sort of two things. One, the major thing I feel it's sort of a hangout. Like they're really it's like listening. It's like hanging out with your friends and just talking about it because that's kind of how they make it feel. They go through the Chernow book. It's not every week they go through it, but they are working their way through the Chernow book, looking at the history and looking at the play. And the other cool thing is, um, they're both in New York. Uh, so like the early parts of it, when it started out, uh, Jillian hadn't seen it, so it was a lot of her telling her story of trying to get to see it, trying to get tickets, and then eventually getting tickets, to the point that it affected my dreams. I would have dreams of me be going through the same things to go to get to see it. It's very interesting, and not only that, they're not only do they live in there, but they both are actors or actresses. I think Bianca also dances. I'm pretty sure she does because she even tells the stories of when she tried out for Hamilton. Um, and then they also have a lot of guests, and many of their guests are cast members, not original cast members, but like swings and what do you call understudies. Like, they talked to Andrew Chappelle, Javon. They're now interviewing Javon McFerrin. So it's like really almost like a back behind the scenes look at the play as it is now, and I think that it's very interesting. Uh, Another one that I found, the second one, not the second one I found, is actually the third one. It's called Pod for Ham. It's by the Incomparable. It has a panel of guests. Some are historians, some are into to musicals or playwrights, but they have a wide variety of skills and what they do, and they bring all that to their discussions. They went song by song, so the podcast now is finished. I do recommend you listen to it because they've gone through all the songs. Uh, but it's very interesting and very insightful. The second one that I actually found that I really like a lot is called Hamilton the Podcast. And that's hosted by Robbie Herlocker and Vinton Bain um, from the Graphomania podcast group. They started out going song by song and they are finished, but they've continued on giving information on the history. They're going through the mixtape right now. They do a lot of different things that are very interesting. I really like them. Uh, uh, I I really like them a lot. Um, Robbie Herlocker just went to Mount Vernon on vacation. Um, and so they did a history of Mount Vernon, and so it's really good. I encourage you to listen to it. Hamilton the podcast. And then the fourth one I found is "The Rumors Happening" by Earwolf, and it's hosted by Trayvon Free, and every once in a while, Mike Drucker will be there. Um, but it has Trayvon Free, I guess, actually wrote for the Daily Show at one time, and they have great guests. I mean, they've had Anthony Ramos and what's her name, Jasmine Cephas Jones, who they've had Jasmine Cephas Jones on there, and they have lots of really great guests. They've had Christian Chilworth, and they're going song by song, and they're doing this really funny thing or a cool thing. They're trying to do it with President Obama, trying to get him on the show. So that one's really interesting to look at from a different angle. Um, so that's kind of why I started this. Uh, I've listened to it on just one of my platforms because I bought the album twice on Google Play. I bought it on um, Amazon. I bought it on iTunes. So I have four different ones, and I just looked at one of them, and I've listened to it over 300 times on just one of those uh, platforms. And almost all of these podcasts, I started in the middle of them. And I know that they say, it's okay that if you want to comment on something that was said before, it's okay to do it. But I feel goofy doing that. I feel goofy saying, hey, remember what you were talking about 5 months ago? Well, this is what I want to say. So that's kind of why I'm starting um, this discussion on my channel about Hamilton so that I can say those things. And again, if you want to say something, whenever you want to say it, I am perfectly cool with it. And I honestly, I don't just want to talk about it. I need to talk about it because it just sort of runs through my head otherwise. So that is all that I have right now. And sorry for rambling. Uh, I'll get back in the swing of doing these videos soon. But that is all I have for now. Love and peace.
Put your arms around me, child, like when you bumped your sheet.